Acho que estamos agora, as pessoas conectadas, right? Vou dar umas boas-vindas em português e passar para o inglês. Hi, quer dizer, boas-vindas, e agora sim em inglês. Hi, my name is Josephine Bourgois from Projeto Paradiso. I'm just waiting for everyone to connect. Right, I think we're on. So this is a live event with Satu Elo from EAVE and Tatiane Leite, producer from Brazil, and a member of Projeto Paradiso's board since this year. So we're very happy. And we are very happy that you're here. Thank you for being with us. If you feel like it, you can open up your camera. It's always nice to see who we're talking to. We know that sometimes this hinders the connection, or sometimes we have shy people. But if you're not one of the two, you can open up your video, and we'd love to see your face. So this will be an informal conversation with Satu Elo, who will talk about EAVE Producers Network Producers Workshop. Oh my God, whose call will open at the end of the month. She just told us it will be on June 27th. So get ready. So it's good. You have some time. You have a bit of a time to prepare yourself. And the idea here is that Satu will help us understand, you know, who and how, who should apply, and the tips, the do's and the don'ts. Especially, as you know, we have a scholarship for one seat at EAVE for the Producers Workshop. So we're very happy to have this ongoing partnership, I think for like more than 5 years now, probably 6 years. Yeah, Luisa is, yeah. So we are honored to be a long-lasting partner, and we're happy that EAVE is making, room to bring some light on emerging producers from Brazil, because we have many. Some are in this room, and one of them hopefully will, be a part of this great experience. And Tatiane Leite was a part of this experience a long time ago. She was just saying 2013, which seems like ages ago. She's too young to even have done that in 2013. And she is also, and will speak about other experiences of EAVE, like EAVE Puentes, and she's been an expert for EAVE Puentes for some years now. So we will focus on the EAVE Producers Workshop. Satu will start with that, and then we will ask Tatiana to maybe speak about these others EAVE. And then, of course, this is a Q&A, so you will have time to ask questions. We love questions. You can ask your question in the chat in Portuguese or in English. If it's in Portuguese, we'll translate. You can also raise your hand and ask for the mic. We'll be happy to have you ask your questions live to Satu and Tach. So without further ado, thank you, Satu, for being with us, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Josephine. I'm very happy to be here. So first I want to comment a little bit, like it looks like I'm in a cave. The reason for that is that behind me there's a window that if I don't put the blind down, it's so bright that you can't see me at all. So there is daylight here as well. I'm in Luxembourg in Europe. So I will just first briefly say a couple of words about myself and about EAVE. So that you know who is talking here. So I'm originally from Finland, but I've been living in Luxembourg for 15 years now. That's the amount of time I've already been with EAVE. I have almost 30 years experience within the film industry. I've been earlier working at festivals and also at the Finnish National Fund, and now at EAVE. And so about EAVE, it's actually one of the oldest training programs for audiovisual producers in the world, and especially in Europe. It's actually older than, you might know, those of you who are familiar with Europe, that most of the film industry is sort of working based on the media program of the European Union, and we are even older than the media program. So that says something. We are already 37 years old, and we have almost 3,000 graduates from our different programs. And in the beginning, it was quite different. EAVE was just one program. It's the program that is still our main program, and it was only European. And nowadays we have, besides the main program, several other programs, and we are global. So there, besides some programs that are targeted at certain parts of the world, all the other programs are open globally for any producers from many countries. That, of course, also means that as we have existed for a long time and are open globally, that there are normally a lot of applications. So it's rather competitive to get in. So we decided to do this info session because, first of all, the call for EAVE Producers Workshop, which is the main program, is approaching. It will go out on June 27 with an application deadline on the 3rd week of August. I don't know the exact date yet. And to give you a little bit more information about that, but also because, you know, Projeto Paradiso doesn't only have a scholarship for that, but they also have a scholarship for 2 other EAVE programs. We will also talk about them a bit more, and I will probably mention, so just as a sort of an overview, a little bit about the other programs that exist. But I will start with the EAVE Producers Workshop also for the reason that actually everything that I say about it applies on a sort of general level to all of our programs, because sort of the philosophy and methodology and aims are the same in everything we do. And I would start by saying that there are a lot of programs that are more like project development programs, where the idea is really that they select projects, like promising projects that they think might make it to successful distribution or a festival or so. But our focus is always in selecting the participants, the professionals, the persons. And especially as we are doing trainings for producers, the producers. And sort of everything that we do starts from the thinking that to have a strong film industry, you need to have strong producers who are able to also shape it and shape the whole ecosystem of the film industry. And that means that already in the selection, we are always focusing whether people apply with a project or without. I will get back to that. We always focus first on the producer. Who are they? What is their motivation? What is their potential? Do they seem to be like a person who wants to make a long career as a producer? Sometimes we also get applications from people who are producer directors or producer writers, and they will always want to sort of figure out if producing is something that they want to do, or if they are doing it sort of on the side and they actually want to be the director, because we are really looking for sort of people who are passionate about producing and want to be producers. The other idea is really sort of sharing, and that goes on many levels. So first of all, what happens in the workshops is really a lot of sharing between the participants. So it's supposed to be a platform for professionals to share their knowledge, their understanding, their ideas, their feedback to each other. And that means that we also need to make sure that people are sort of on well, I can't say that they would all be on the same level experience-wise, because as it is global, of course, you know, there are differences, but always in the selection, we need to sort of make sure that there's going to be a level conversation field. And that's why it's also very important to think about the timing when to apply to the different programs. I will go into more details. I'm still on a very general level, I know that. And the other way of sharing is that all of the people that we use as experts are active industry professionals. So we don't use anybody who would be sort of identifying as a tutor or expert or teacher or something like that, because the idea is also for them to share from their experience, but also to be really up to date. I'll give you just one example or 2 examples to illustrate a bit what I mean. So for instance, we have group leaders who are experienced producers. And it's very important for us that they are producers. They are not like know something about producing or have been producers, but they know what is going in the industry through their own work. So they are sort of sharing from their everyday real experience. Or for instance, when we have a marketing expert, it's somebody who is actually on their daily life working on marketing campaigns for sales, for distribution at A festivals and so on. So they also are really on top of what is happening exactly today. And what is very telling is that many of our experts are actually graduates. So it comes back to this sharing thing that very often people who have come to the network, done one or more of our programs, want to sort of give back by coming back to share from their expertise. So a little bit more practically, and now I talk about the EAVE Producers Workshop. It's a year-long program that has 3 workshops over the year. So each of them is 1 week, one in March, one in June, one in October, in 3 different countries in Europe. And what is happening at the workshops is it's like a combination of, I already mentioned group leaders. So I would say at the very core of it is group work. We have in total 56 participants. We divide them into 4 different groups, which means that you have groups of 14 persons. The aim is always to have only like that everybody in the group comes from a different country. That means that in your group, you have 14 countries in the room, plus the group leader. And what happens in the groups, it's really like 2/3 of the time at the workshops is that everybody shares all their materials in advance with everybody else in this group of 14, and everybody reads everything. And then all of this is being discussed in the group. So it's as much receiving as it is giving. It is possible to apply to the program either with a project or without, and we call that focusing either project development on project development or focusing on career development. This is really up to each applicant to decide. And I would say that it's always very individual. But for instance, let's say if you are not very experienced in international co-productions and you actually now are developing a project that would be meant for international co-production, especially if it's very complicated, you would like to bring that project because you need like input and help with that. But for instance, if you are more thinking about how to develop your company or maybe opening a company of your own or some kind of other career move, you might want to apply without the project, because normally if you come with a project, you tend to be very, very focused on the project and you don't sort of have headspace for other things. But if you want to really think about and discuss with everybody how to move on with whatever it is that is happening in your career or in your company, it might be more helpful to focus on that and not come with the project. So whatever you bring, all of this will be discussed in the group. And here it comes back to the sharing and feedbacking and actually sort of using, how would I say, like collective intelligence. Because you spend so much time in the group over the 3 weeks that you actually become super close with all the participants. It normally happens already by the end of workshop 2 that you really sort of feel like you have a professional family. So there's also really a lot of different feedback to gain, especially as people come from different kind of backgrounds and realities and political situations and funding opportunities or not, and so on. Those who come to the workshop with a project can also bring along a writer to workshops 1 and 2, where we still discuss a lot about the projects and also the script development. It's not obligatory. I think it's quite rare that people from outside of Europe would do that, because of course that's a lot of extra cost to bring another person, but it's an option. And so the writers are welcome to workshops 1 and 2, and at the third workshop, no longer that, because at the third workshop, we are more focusing on how to present the project and your company and yourself to the market. And to the third workshop, we invite a lot of what we call future partners, who are sales agents, funders, commissioners, all kinds of people who might be able to help you. And what we do there is we organize one-to-one meetings, which look from the outside as if it were like a co-production market, so people at tables having individual meetings. But actually, sort of content-wise, it's different because, for instance, if you have been at the co-production market, you know that, for instance, sales agents normally would only agree to meet people whose project is suitable for their slate. So they are there really for the business. But when they come to EAVE, they, first of all, they know it's a training. And secondly, for them, it's actually more about scouting new producers and companies. So because for them, it's super important to know who is out there, who are the players, who should we know, who should we follow. So they really are very open to meet everybody. And what we do very long meeting slots, 45 minutes, to allow enough time to talk about your project or projects or your company, your slate, what you do, but also to ask about them and to find out how to approach them if in the future you maybe have something that would be exactly for them, and really to create a relationship so that whenever the time comes that you need them, it's easier to actually get them to pick up the phone or read your email. So that's basically the idea. Besides the group work and these meetings I described, of course, there are a lot of plenary sessions about different topics, from financing to marketing, from pitching to company planning, anything that you can imagine. And then on top of that, there are individual meetings with the different experts. What we always do is we actually, I would not be able to list to you sort of all the topics that we cover over the year, because we actually keep working on that based on who the participants are. So workshop 1 basically has sort of more or less similar topics every year. And then we start after workshop 1 to think what this group of participants need. And then we start implementing those for the later workshops. And this kind of sort of curating thinking is also applicable when it comes to the selection process. So I told you that it's quite competitive due to the fact that we have existed so long and there are so many graduates, and there's a lot of word of mouth. We nowadays get, for this program, we get a bit more than 300 applications, which means that the selection rate is about 20%. And that's sort of on the global scale. And then, of course, it depends on the country. I must say that for Brazil, it tends to be lower because we tend to get a lot of applications from Brazil. But what we do in the selection is we are not selecting individuals like putting 300 people into the order of best, second best, or something like that. We are trying to curate the group. So we are sort of doing it very collectively. First, we do, I described the selection process. So first we do a pre-selection, which is based on the application package only. In the application package, actually, all the other elements are things that you have, like, your CV, your company profile, the project files. So the one element that you should really pay attention to is the motivation letter. I already told you that we are trying to identify producers who really want to be producers and who want to make a long career as producers. We are trying to identify people who know why they are applying. So it would be very good to, in the motivation letter, to somehow describe where you are, what you're looking for, why you think participating in this program would take you to whatever your goal is. And also, what we really appreciate is honesty and authenticity. So when somebody writes this kind of what I would call like American style application, just telling how great they are. That's not very informative. So of course we want to know everything that you are, and you should be proud of it, and you should mention everything, all your achievements and so on. But we would also like to really see what you think you're lacking and why that is the reason why you want to apply. What is it that you're looking for? Is it something we can sort of cater or not? Is this the right program? So these are all very relevant questions. So I really consider that you take your time. The other thing is really to know that it's about the producer, not about the project. Sometimes we get motivation letters that are only about the project, and that's also not very informative, as we are focusing more on the selection of the producer. So first we do a pre-selection, and this is based only on the materials you send. There we try to cut the number of applicants from 300 to around 100, and those 100 then get an online selection interview with our head of studies. This is a conversation where she tries to dig even deeper to understand who you are, why you want to come, is this the right timing, and so on. And after all of this, we do the final selection. And as I said, it's sort of like a collective curation. So we start to see during the process that there are, for instance, applicants who we see that these two should go to the same room. Something will happen when they start talking to each other. So it's really a combination of factors, also all kind of diversity, of course, geographic, but also in terms of big companies, small companies, fiction, documentary series, different kind of profiles of producers. Like some producers are really good at financing and others are really good at creative feedbacking and so on. So we're trying to build a group that makes sense to each other. And that's why I get quite a lot of questions after the selection has been done, because of course there are more people rejected than selected. And there's a lot of questions about feedback, and sometimes it's rather difficult to pinpoint it because there's like nothing specific, but maybe there were like 5 people who could have taken this one seat, and then it's a combination of factors to the diversity questions and to the sort of curating the group, why one sort of was more suitable. So we are trying to be very, very careful and serious about the selection, not to be random at all. And I think that is sort of enough in a nutshell. So please feel free to ask questions, but I can also jump into the other programs. Do you want to ask something now, or?
I would suggest maybe we pass the floor to Touch so she can comment on what you said. I'm sure she has some insights, and then we open up for questions. If you're fine with that, unless you want to continue, if you had more to say, you can just do it in one block.
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe we do that. But if people in the room, please feel free to start asking your question in the chat if you want, so we can have a look at them while Tatiana tells us a bit about her experience, and she'll start by correcting something I said. But anyway, and Satu, I just want to say to this group of people, I was lucky enough to visit EAVE in Luxembourg while they were having their workshop. It was the year when Simone Oliveira and Tatiane Leite were Brazilian participants, one with a project, one without a project. So we had both insights. And actually, Tatiana brought her director with her, which is another thing that sometimes can happen. Of course, they were very pleased with their experiences. And I was very pleased because it's one thing to hear that, and it's another thing to witness it. And I was really, it's funny how you think it's about something, but it's really about something else. It's about everything you said, but what really struck me the most was something you mentioned, which is the richness of the group. And I was sitting, I was lucky enough to be able to sit in a collective, one of those moments where you have breakout rooms with a mentor. And there was a guy from, oh my God, they were from all over. And one was actually from Palestine. one from a woman from Jamaica, one from New York, and just the richness of the stories told, the point of views, it really, I mean, I was moved tremendously, and I was inspired. And I'm not a filmmaker, I'm not a producer. I was just sitting there for, you know, an hour, and it really made a mark. I mean, I remember that day. So I'm just saying, it's really about the experience. It's about, of course, what you're going to get in terms of training, but it's really also about this very special experience of meeting a group of such diverse people and learning so much from their perspectives. I mean, I have to say you do that very well, and I want to say I have it left a mark. So it was great to see it in person. Anyway, Tach, tell us about.
Sorry, can I add to that? Because you only stayed in the group for an hour, but I would actually like to add to that once you spend like 3 weeks with these people, it's really a strong network. So we have done a lot of surveys, and it's really like people continue to work together and also to be friends together. So it's really like not only something to remember, but something to, in that sense, to change your life, that it really builds a very strong network. Yeah.
It stays with you. And I have to say again, I'm sorry, Tach, but so we are a network of talent as well. Some of them are in this room. Actually, we have now 220 talents, and we have always looked up to you, and you've been a benchmark for us, because I think it's one of the very rare and robust experience of talent network. You really add value, you nurture your network. You have the meetings at Cannes and other, of course, marchés and festivals. So you keep them as a group. And we know how much time and how much energy this takes, but it's really great that you do that. And I think that, yes, it's not just an experience that ends, it's a portal to a community. And I think this really, you take care of your community, and I think it's great. So it's important people know that they'll be a part of something that will stay with them afterwards. It's really great. Okay, Tach, tell us about you. Wait, sorry. And Tach can speak in Portuguese. We decided that it's going to be easier for everyone. And in case I don't know why I can't chat to you, Satu. So if anything she says, I feel like you should really know, I'll just interrupt maybe, or, you know, I don't know.
Bom, a Satu, ela contou para vocês o programa do EAVE, do Producers Workshop. Ela vai falar um pouquinho mais adiante sobre os outros programas do EAVE, as perninhas que tem o EAVE, e eu fiz, enfim, só para vocês saberem, enfim, tipo, além, como a Josephine me apresentou, de eu estar no membro aí do grupo de discussão do Paradiso, eu também sou coordenadora da América Latina do EAVE. E eu, quando comecei a produzir, imediatamente ouvi falar do EAVE, porque, sem dúvida, assim, é o programa de melhor reputação como treinamento e incentivo para produtores, né? Eles falam muito, eles trouxeram muito a palavra creative producers para o mercado, de uma forma geral. E foi uma das primeiras coisas que eu me inscrevi logo que eu comecei a fazer filmes. Eu já conheci, assim, só para dizer, como eu tenho um histórico de curadoria, eu já conhecia algumas pessoas que tinham feito, enfim, já circulava nos festivais aonde o EAVE, inclusive, estava presente de várias formas, inclusive porque alguns workshops aconteciam até em quadro de festivais, né? Eu, quando fiz, em 2013, Puentes, uma parte aconteceu durante o Festival de Locarno, por exemplo, em Locarno. E eu posso dizer, eu sempre falo isso para todo mundo, individualmente ou em coletivo, que nenhum workshop que eu fiz foi tão incrível quanto o organizado pelo EAVE. Assim, tipo, eles são, primeiro, escolhem tutores, participantes, consultores, profissionais distintos para virem enfim, que fazem as coisas mais interessantes que a gente admira, enfim. Depois, porque esse cuidado na seleção de compor um grupo com um certo equilíbrio também é muito raro, assim. E o nível de partilha que existe durante esses workshops, né, que no caso do Producers são 3 encontros, 2 que você pode levar o diretor ou roteirista, e um terceiro que são só os produtores, e nos outros, né, aqui me avançando no Puentes ou no Ties That Bind, vão apenas os produtores. E se fala dos projetos, né, essa parte de quem está levando o projeto vai ter seu projeto discutido, e mesmo quem não está levando pode discutir o projeto do outro que está sendo levado, que todo mundo tem que ler tudo e tem essa interação sobre um projeto. É um processo super interessante, super enriquecedor, difícil também, porque muitas vezes, enfim, você está ali, né, e, tipo, um monte de crítica de projetos. Os projetos são questionados, a validade do projeto é muitas vezes questionado, enfim. E é muito curioso, enquanto produtores, estar sozinhos, na maior parte do tempo, sem os diretores ou roteiristas, defendendo os projetos. Acho que é uma coisa muito importante para os produtores, enfim, para acho que a validação de que esse filme é tão seu quanto, né, do diretor. E super interessante porque depois você, enfim, tem um follow-up em casa para fazer. E além disso, acho que todas essas possibilidades, né, de interação de que eles oferecem, tipo, tanto de case study, né, nos últimos anos eu tenho sido consultora eu tenho sido uma das mentoras do Puentes. Eles criaram agora um Puentes Itália, onde eu faço uma interlocução direta com os participantes cotidiana, que a gente discute tudo, desde assim, os programas que os participantes podem acessar de financiamento até case studies específicos de filmes, marketing, porque eles são muito fortes, eles têm um workshop, inclusive, exclusivo para isso. Enfim, e esse acesso que a Satu bem falou sobre de você encontrar uns sales agents, né, que são personagens muito importantes nas nossas vidas, né, no momento que não seja a gente sentado com um projetinho no Berlinale Coproduction Market ou na Cinemart, onde eventualmente ele vai vir falar com você porque tem interesse específico nesse diretor ou no projeto ou em você, mas por 15 minutos assim, é outra coisa. Realmente é para entender melhor como funciona o mercado atual, enfim, de vendas, e momento que você pode apresentar mesmo, tipo, tirar do bolso, sabe, tipo, sua carteira de projetos, porque não necessariamente que você está ali selecionado para o workshop é o que faz sentido para esse interlocutor, né? Desculpa, tem uma ambulância passando aqui pela rua. Na sequência, eu também, puxando uma coisa que a Satu diz, eu também não conheci, não vivenciei nenhum workshop desde então, né, porque já tem muitos anos que eu fiz, 2013, enfim, que fosse tão intenso em termos de conexão, porque você fica tão vulnerável ali, dividindo as suas histórias, não só das relações com os diretores, que é um momento muito importante, assim, se partilha coisas muito íntimas do percurso, sejam das relações com diretores, sejam de relações com agentes de venda, sejam de relações com festivais, enfim, histórias bonitas e dramas e traumas. Tem uma coisa de uma zona de confiança muito grande, e das estratégias da sua própria empresa, ou seja, de como sua empresa está funcionando, você está ganhando dinheiro com ela, você não está ganhando dinheiro com ela, enfim. Nesse esquema de vulnerabilidade, você termina se aproximando muito das pessoas. Então, eu aqui estou um exemplo de que em 2013, enfim, no meu grupo tinha uma produtora argentina, que é a Bárbara Francisco, e eu estou preparando meu 4º filme com a Bárbara Francisco. Enfim, tipo, a gente já lançou 2 filmes, tem um que a gente vai filmar e tem outro em desenvolvimento. E foi uma conexão que foi feita dentro desse universo, onde assim, as pessoas se identificam ali e ficam em contato. A gente tem o grupo no WhatsApp de 2013, que ainda é ativo. Quem vai para Cannes? E nos últimos anos, participando como tutora de outros, eu também estou em outros grupos que permanecem de WhatsApp, trocando informação, dividindo conquistas, enfim. Nesse sentido, tipo, é incrível, assim, absolutamente incrível. E aí, eu queria falar, aproveitar vocês aqui para dizer uma coisa, porque eu faço parte dos comitês de seleção, de alguns comitês de seleção. E eu acho que as pessoas estão se confundindo, às vezes, sobre em que momento se candidatar, porque tem muita gente que só fez curtas e ainda não fez o primeiro longa, enfim. E, na verdade, os workshops do EAVE, você tem, enfim, ter um projeto de longa firme. E, sobretudo, não é tipo, eu dirijo meus próprios curtas, vou fazer meu longa. Enfim, o perfil é para pessoas que são produtores natos, assim, quer dizer, ou vão se descobrir não sendo produtores natos, também é um bom momento, né, no workshop de identificar isso, que almejem também, né, tipo, entender o mercado internacional e, sobretudo, que contem as suas histórias, né, porque isso que ela comentou, para mim era uma agonia, eu já tinha comentado com a Josephine e com a Raquel, as pessoas, as inscrições brasileiras sempre confundem o motivation letter, né, a nota de intenção, com a nota de intenção do projeto que está agregado. E não é isso. Você vai mandar, se você está aplicando com um projeto, tem a sua notinha de intenção, por que você está fazendo esse projeto e tal. Mas para participar do workshop é porque você quer fazer parte do EAVE, enfim, porque você quer fazer. E eu lembro muito bem da minha, onde conto a minha relação, enfim, que eu acho que funcionou, enfim, tipo, que eu contei a minha relação com o cinema desde criança, enfim, tipo, até o tempo presente, o que eu queria fazer, o que eu pensava que poderia ser interessante, que esse workshop poderia enfim, me agregar. E essa carta, para mim, ela é determinante, assim. E realmente eu notei nesses últimos anos acho que as notas de intenção brasileiras estão, um parágrafo, adoraria fazer parte, algumas até meio se repetindo, assim, com bullet points. E não é isso, é realmente, tipo, uma coisa que vem de dentro, assim, tipo, porque você quer fazer parte, ou ser produtor, ou se não é exatamente, assim, acho que a Simone, quando fez da Globo Filmes, enfim, tipo, não era exatamente uma produtora como a gente, com a sua casa produtora que vai lá buscar o financiamento e desenvolver o projeto, mas não deixa de, enfim, tipo, de ser, ter uma outra atuação no mercado, mas que faça todo sentido de participar, assim como eventuais distribuidores, enfim, mas que seja pessoal e que explique por que não só você quer participar, mas porque faz sentido que você participe. Enfim, eu acho que isso tem que estar muito claro, e isso vai ajudar muito, porque as duas coisas que aconteceram foram, muitas vezes, de não conseguir identificar qual é a conexão, e a outra, quem é, né? Porque é isso, não é um programa para diretores, enfim, tipo, é um programa para produtores. Eventualmente, né, na excepcionalidade do Producers Workshop, como vai se discutir também o projeto, pode ouvir e participar o diretor e roteirista, mas é um programa de formação de produtores, enfim. Então, acho que isso é um ponto de partida super importante de terem em mente quando forem fazer, primeiro, quando optarem por se inscrever, né, nos programas oferecidos pela EAVE, e, um segundo tempo, em como fazer essa inscrição. Acho que, enfim, tipo, é isso. Estou aqui com a Satu para, enfim, ajudar vocês em perguntas eventuais que podem ter, mas acho importante que a Satu conte para vocês essas outras opções, esses outros braços que são incríveis, assim, para a gente especificamente, né, super brasileiros.
Maravilha. Thank you very much, Tati. I found the chat, so I was able to tell Satu what you mostly said. It would be good to hear Satu on the other programs mentioned, so EAVE Plus, EAVE On Demand, EAVE Puentes, but maybe before that, because we have a question about the general track in the chat by Luca, maybe we can address that question. I'm sure many people in the room have that question, which is about the level of experience that you request from applicants. And I think it's also very important because we feel responsible that you have so many applicants from Brazil, even though this didn't start with us. Maybe it just got worse with us, which is also, it's great. It's a great problem to have, we always say. But so it's very important that you be super transparent, and this is the time to do it, about really who should apply and maybe who shouldn't. Because we don't want people to lose their time, you to lose your time, and this whole thing to hinder the whole process maybe. So if you could be super really straight out about, you know, what you really expect people to, the level that they should be at, what they should have done, and so that people in this room really understand if they are the fit or not, it'd be really great.
Yeah. So first of all, as you know, the question is referring to our website, so I will explain why our website does not give you a straight answer. And it's again because of the global nature of the program, because obviously we want to look at every individual sort of also in the context of their experience, what is possible. Just to give you like as an example, like if you come from France, which is a country where you can do your whole career without doing any co-productions because they have all the opportunities for that, then we expect a different kind of level than if you come from a country that doesn't even have a fund. So you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's very impossible to put it into writing what exactly is the criteria. The main criteria, sort of to start from where you have to be at least, is that you need to be, we sometimes get applications from people, or people want to apply who have just sort of come out of film school or something. And they tend to say, yeah, you know, I produced 3 films in school. We all know producing in school is not the same as producing in the real world. So that is to start with, that we need to know that the applicants, let's put it this way, would be considered professional producers in their country. Like if we ask their fund would know that this person exists or this company exists. There is no exact criterion what you need to have produced, but if you come, let's put it, if you come from Brazil, it would go with the same kind of criteria as in Europe, that you would need to have produced at least 1 feature-length film, whether fiction or documentary, as the lead producer. Also, really, if you apply with a project, you need to be the lead producer. You need to be the person who can make decisions about it. So sometimes we also get applications from junior producers. You can completely be a junior producer in a company, but junior producers with a project that they don't actually have the decision-making power on. So absolutely, you can come as a junior producer, but if you are not the lead producer of the project, then you should apply without one. But you should have already the experience of having been the lead producer. So those are, then there's another end, like sometimes we get applications from people who are extremely experienced, have been producing more than 10 films already. Then the question is why? Because what can we still offer? It can still be relevant. For instance, there are producers who have done their whole career in one country or in one continent, and now they specifically want to start working with other continents, and especially Europe, because the majority of people in the program come from European countries. So that, for instance, could be a legitimate reason. And also in that case, I would actually advise to apply without a project, because I don't think you would so much need, unless it's super complicated international co-production, but maybe then it's more about really finding the right network and so on. But those are sort of the, I already said you need to be somebody who wants to be a producer, you need to be already professional as a producer, and there needs to be a clear reason why this makes sense now. I would like to actually continue a little bit to the other programs, because this is a little bit linked. I heard that Puentes and Ties That Bind were mentioned. Ties That Bind is not really interesting for you because they are similar programs. So Puentes is very interesting for you. It's for European and Latin American producers, and Ties That Bind is the same for European and Asian. So it's not interesting for you, but just to mention, they are sort of mirror images of each other. There, the differences to what I just told you about the Producers Workshop. First of all, it's not open globally, but it's open for Europe and Latin America. Second, you cannot apply from Latin America. You cannot apply without a project, because it's a smaller group. It's only 15 participants, and out of sort of financing technical reasons, there are 10 participants with a project. So 5 projects from Europe, 5 from Latin America, and then the other 5 are normally other professionals from Europe or anyway Europeans without the project. So there are seats for 5 Latin American projects. So there you have to have a project, and there the project has to be fiction. Also for quite practical reasons, because it's such a small group, so it doesn't really make sense to have a lot of different consultants for documentaries and fiction and so on. It only has 2 workshops, one in Europe, one in Latin America. And it's really built so that all the experts come from both continents. The idea is really to introduce Latin America to the Europeans and Europe to the Latin Americans. So that one is very, very useful for anybody who has a project that would be a natural co-production with Europe, but doesn't really yet have the network and the know-how to make it happen. There, when it comes to the sort of experience level, I would say it can be more varied because it's so linked to having a suitable project. So you could have somebody who is quite unexperienced compared to another one who is more experienced, but not with the other continent. So I think the sort of the logic of the selection is slightly different because it's more linked to the project. But again, having said that, we are always focusing on the producer in the selection. Tatiana, do you want to add something or?
Yes, that the standards are even though you can have a less experienced producer and a very experienced producer, it needs to be someone that already made a feature and is the main producer of the project, that it's going to sign as producer of the project. So it doesn't work if it's something else, but it could be the first international project that the person has, but since this person already have a CPB in a Brazilian film before, or whatever feature film, signed as a producer.
And there's actually questions about that. Does the feature have to be launched, and can it be fiction or doc?
So first of all, thank you for clarifying, Tatiana, because I was not as clear as you were. Thank you. Does it have to be launched? No, it needs to be in development. So it's really, if you apply with a project, you come with a project in early development.
No, but your experience of the first feature, if you have if you ask.
As I said, it's not a sort of strict criterion. That's why you can't find it on the website. So let's put it this way, that if it's practically finalized, we know that you have the experience. But again, coming back to the fact that we get so many applications from Brazil. So if you are sort of less experienced than the other applicants, it very often comes to the moment where we look at, oh dear, we have so many applicants that we have to kick out so many. So it very often comes to the conclusion that we look like, okay, this one can still wait. So sort of if you are still you haven't launched your first film, even if we looked at your application that it looks very interesting, we might think that, okay, this one can reapply and we can, at the moment, take somebody who is more advanced.
And does it have to be, can it be fiction and doc?
No, what else?
No, or, I mean, could it be a fiction or a doc?
Yeah, absolutely. Fiction or documentary, yes, absolutely. Okay. As can also the project that you apply with, yeah.
And okay, I'm answering Mariana's question. The previous feature could have been a national co-production. If it was, like a feature that you signed, you're gonna put of course, it's always the labs, the festivals that the film has been. The little life that the film had, even if it was only in Latin America, you are eligible. It doesn't. The previous film not necessarily needed to be an international co-production, but of course, since the moment you are there, you are aiming for international co-production for the project that you are presenting.
Great, great. Thank you for your answer to Mariana. And to Isabel, she's asking if there's any specific for the projects that you apply with, genre, theme, criteria, like an editorial line.
Yeah, so basically the only real criteria are that it has to be in early development. What we mean by that is really purely sort of on the story side. So if we are talking about the fiction project, there should be minimum a full treatment or first version of script so that there's enough to work with, but it should not be too developed. So I would say maximum, depending on the style of the writer. I know that some writers do like 30 versions, but it should be still early in development on the script in the sense that it's still possible to take the feedback and use it. Whether there's financing in place or not, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to us because we know that a lot of projects that are being developed don't even get made. And for us, we are focusing on the producer. If it happens that this project will not get made, we don't consider it as a failure. It's just, this was the moment when this producer was working on this project. So the financing, when it comes to genre or themes, there are no other criteria than really that there's nothing against human rights or pornographic or that kind of things. But again, as our main focus is on the producer, actually in the selection process, we first come to the list of people we would like to select. And then we sort of look if the projects are okay, like in terms of development stage and otherwise. So no preference there, and it does not affect the selection, what genre it is, for instance. May I say one more thing before going to the further questions, because I wanted to mention, as you also offer a scholarship for EAVE Plus, and as we were talking about the sort of experience level, I know this is far from today because the call for EAVE Plus only opens in January, but I already want to mention that there the difference is that EAVE Plus is about companies and management and leadership. So when people apply to that, it's not about film projects. The company is sort of the project. And there it's normally people who are more experienced, like some years after the Producers Workshop level, and they should be owners of their own company and have also some experience of running a company. And normally having international experience is a plus. But just to give you sort of an idea of the order of things. But let's continue with the questions.
Thank you. Yeah, so first of all, it's good that you said that. So as Paradiso, we do offer a fellowship at EAVE Producers Network, a fellowship for EAVE Puentes, and a fellowship for EAVE Plus. In case there's more than one Brazilian who makes the cut, which is very unlikely for the producer network and most likely could happen for the other ones, then there will be a choice made. So it's only really one fellowship per program. And so thank you for mentioning EAVE Plus, even though maybe in this room, I don't know if that's the target audience, but it's very good that you know that it exists. And it's a program that we feel adds a lot and actually tailors to a need. A lot of people who are managing their companies need help doing so, and they weren't born managers. They were so it's very interesting. And also I want to stress one thing you just said, which is it's very interesting that you said that about your program. We kind of have the same feeling about our incubator program, even though, of course, for the selection, you ask for a project and it'll be the center of attention at some point, but it's a skill-based program, EAVE. It's really about developing your skills and developing you as a professional. So you should also really think about that when you apply, when you're there, and afterwards, that this is really the focus. You are the focus, not the project, so maybe think about that when you apply. Does that make sense to you? Is that what you're really looking for? Can you make the most out of it? Because it's a very important aspect that Satu stressed rightfully. So we don't have more questions in the chat. It's time now because we have 4 minutes left. So either we take a last question, someone can raise his or her hand or can write in the chat. And if nobody does, maybe we'll go for final comments. I don't see anyone. So I think it was also maybe because it was very informative and very full of you tackled everything. I think this is what this says. And that's my way of reading it. And so I guess I just want to thank you. And if you want to, I don't know, like add the last comment before we leave this room about the selection process or whatever you feel should be the remaining message. And I want to thank everybody who was here today with us. And of course, again, Tatiana and Satu for making the time. It's very important. Rafael, tu quer falar?
Oi, eu tenho. I have a quick question if there's still time. Hi everyone. Thanks for the information. So I have a quick question as far as project. I don't know yet if I'll be applying as with a project or if you'll be applying with a career, but because there has been occasions that I've come onto a project, you know, as a Brazilian producer, and I do have a company in Brazil, but I'm not being my project is from a different country. Is that, you know, how does that fall into your analysis? For example, there's a project right now which is a Ukrainian, Finland, Latvian project, which I haven't found a way yet to include Brazil, but I'm still a lead producer on it. If that makes any kind of sense, would that fall, since it's not from my own country, would that fall into the maybe that's even a question for the program to help, because I don't know how I would include the Brazilian portion as far as funding, if that makes sense.
Well, I must say that I see that more and more, as you know, the funding is sort of disappearing everywhere, that you have more and more sort of unexpected constellations. So it's not at all unheard of that the lead producer is actually not the lead country, so that can happen. So it's really the only thing that matters is that you are the lead producer, in the sense that you have the decision-making power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Some people are leaving.
Yeah, my final word would be that please feel free to send me emails if you apply, because I mean, for the EAVE Producers Workshop, I am the contact person. So when you see the call for applications open, you will find my email address there as well. So really, please feel free. It's part of my job to advise. For the Puentes, it's my colleague Anna, but also the Puentes call is coming on later again. And Tatiana, I think you can also approach, as she is sort of representing us in Brazil.
Yes, if you have, if you have any questions that you want to address me, you can write to me as well. But I think I think the right information was given to you, and I really hope that you enjoyed the fact that you have to make the applications that will be competitive. And I think it's again, if you realize that makes sense for your career and for you with your background, apply, because it's really good.
With that in mind, I think we will, again, thank you very much. We're so punctual. It's 11:00. Thank you so much, Satu and Tatiana and everybody here. Again, good luck to everyone who will apply. We are rooting for you and hope to see one of you on the other side at the end of this process. Thank you so much. Take care and be well, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Satu.